Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Lines Forever. Today, I have a 6v6 custom match here on the map Forgotten Archipelago. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the north and ending with Team 2 in the south. Starting off with Team 1's Northwestern player, we have in Barbie Pink, Demont or Demo, depending if you say the T or not. He is a Seraphim as a 1000 rated player. To his east, we have in Forest Green the Cybern of Hybrid 2001. He is a 1400 again in Forest Green. To his east, we have in lightest red pink Note. He is a UEF for this match as a 2000 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 1. And in the northeastern corner for Team 1, we have in Emerald Green X-Wire as a UEF as well as an 1800. Going here to the south in Batman Gray is Danky Kang as a Seraphim as an 1100. And rounding out Team 1's lineup in roughly the middle of their lineup, we have Darth Sand as an Aeon in Tropical Ocean Blue. Definitely a good choice in color for this kind of map. He is a 1400. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 2 UEF, 1 Cybern, 2 Seraphim, 1 Aeon. Team 1 has at least one of each of the factions. Starting off in the opposite corner that we did with Demont, for Team 2, we have in Royal Blue, Lias. He is a Cybern as a 600. To his west, we have in Pac-Man Yellow, Twitchy-Mofo as a Cybern as a 1500. And in Chevy Crimson, to his west, we have in an Aeon ACU. He is Nomander. He is a 2300. He is the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall. And again, he is in Chevy Crimson. And last but not least, for the southern edge of the map, we have Bannable Offense as a 2200 in Rust as a Seraphim. To his north in Snow White, he is not in Orange. He is, though, named Orange Dudes. He is in Snow White as a 700 UEF. And last but not least, for Team 2 in Orange to color Orange, we have Shamammered. He is an Aeon as a 1300. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have 2 Aeons, 1 Seraphim, 1 UEF, 2 Cybern. So both teams have at least one of each of the factions, so no one is out on any sort of technology gains there. Take a look at the game's map reclaim currently sitting out for these 12 players. 14,000 mass in reclaim. That's a little bit over 1,000 mass per player. It definitely is worth going and grabbing. It is definitely a chunk, but the map doesn't really have a lot of mexes. There are groupings of a couple of mexes on islands or so. There's 3 islands with a trimex or dual mex. There's also a nice little island here, and of course a couple of islands here in front of Orange Dudes. There is a secondary base plot here that Nomander and Bannable Offense have access to. This quad mex position here, which would make me feel like it's a place where a player would start. So maybe this map is set for 8v8. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody down in the comments will probably correct me on that or not. So the map is going to be very constrained in terms of resources, so players are going to be hyper-focusing on taking out as many mexes. Of course, that's the main goal in every game, but specifically taking as many mexes out for their opposing team and then trying to claim them as fast as possible. Or they'll take the other route, which is just scale as fast as humanly possible with as little resources spent on other things as possible. Taking a look here for Team 1's Danky King, he's pumping out a couple of those Zooey, trying to slow down Team 2's Twitchy Mofo here in the east. And in the west, we have a decent amount of air coverage here. A couple of interceptors, a couple of spy planes, just to see what Team 2 is up to on this western side. And I do apologize if you can hear a puppy in the distance whining. He's in a crate right now while I record. I'm watching him for a couple of days. I had puppies here yesterday in terms of when this was recorded. And today when they all left, which was yesterday. And anyway, long story short, there were puppies here during last video. This video, there's only one, and he'll be with us for a couple of days. So just be aware if you hear any puppy noises and whining and whatnot. That's what you hear in the background. You're not going crazy, which I maybe think that I do sometimes. Anyway, talking about Team 1's Demont, dropping a couple of engineers off here for Team 1 to try to grab this astral nice little hydrocarbon here. Team 1 and Team 2 don't really have that much in terms of, again, land to build on. So any sort of additional power, any sort of additional anything is definitely going to be worth it. Maybe this map would be improved if somebody went in and added more water-based mexes, just kind of give more options to these players, because they're all on land. I don't know when this map was created, so it could have been before the update of actually being able to put mexes in water and then actually being able to be built on and put mass storages around them, that sort of thing. So that would be a cool feature to add. Maybe have like a version 2 sort of thing. But anyway, just a little food for thought there. Map developers, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. To the west here, we do see Orange Dudes shifting over to this island. There, of course, there are a couple of engineers that could spam up a T1 PD. Maybe they'll build one in time. There's a nice little AA emplacement, but I think Orange Dudes is going to get there before the engineers notice, which will allow him to take them out very, very easily with little to no resistance. Transport inbound from Twitchy Muffo. Looks like he's going for this island. Going to drop off. Yep, going to drop off those engineers. Team 1 land factory has been started, but there's 4 engineers versus 1, and they're going to easily reclaim this engineer. Yep, there they go. There goes that engineer, just trying to feed his family, just trying to support him, but unfortunately he just got taken out. 4v1, says Orange Dudes. I don't see the 4v1. I see 2 players. That is Hyper 2001 and Demo, or Demot, depending on, again, how if you pronounce the T or not. I don't see the other 2 players. But we do see that Bannable Offense, of course, in the back here, going for a T2 Naval headquarters. So actually just skipping T1 and going straight to T2. Again, he is pretty far back, so that would be a secured position for him for a while. T1 bomber over the top here for X. We're taking out a couple, or trying to take out a couple of T1 P-gens. We'll get another pass in, and we'll take out a chunk of them and badly damage a few others. That's 20 power per times 9, 180. And Orange Dudes Control Ks. Hold on, let's check the replay. It looks like, not replay, check the conversation. We don't know how to play Navy maps. Might as well. Wit says no mander. Yeah, maybe that's in response to the 4v1 comment. No idea. But Team 2 loses the first player of the game. It is Orange Dudes. His base will go to no mander, it looks like, but maybe it'll be transferred over to Bannable Offense because he's right there. So probably, yep, there it goes. A couple of mexes will still be retained by Team 2's no mander, but those will probably get destroyed here sooner rather than later. Note asking for a transport from Danky Kang. Don't know what he wants it for entirely, but maybe he has a couple of engineers he wants to offload somewhere. T3 almost done here for him, actually. We do see a little bit of Team 1 spam in the Navy department here for Danky Kang. Of course, he does have his Zuis online, so a nice little pseudo-Navy fleet also starting to emerge here. Team 1 central player of Darsan pushing against Shamamred's T2 naval headquarters. And these players have started to really spam up those T2 facilities sooner rather than later. We have one over here and one over here. It's mainly the backline players. The players, oh no, we do see Darsan almost has his T2 online. But we see about half of them. Nope, that's a T2 land, not T2 Navy. We see about half of them for Team 1 and Team 2. 1, 2, 3 with the other player on Team 2 in the backline going for air, and the other one in the corner over here going for a couple of Team 1 slivers. Slivers? Slivers. Or is it silvers? No, it's slivers. Anyway, so we have about half of each team going for T2 Navy. We do see a nice little destroyer or 2 online for XR in the middle, going after Shamamred's facilities here. Just trying to poke and prod at the mexes and power reserves here for him. So again, just slowly eating away at the eco. Given the constraints on mass income anyways, any bit of mass loss is going to hurt. But a ton of slips. I always want to say glyphs, but it's a S, so slips, maybe? Is that how you pronounce that? That's a decent amount of them. They could easily wreck these 2 destroyers very quickly. And this destroyer that's coming into range, nice little governor class, needs to get those DMDs online, of course. But don't think he's going to be able to do that. Shamamred's over here. Doesn't have a T2 land or air facility. Has to pump them out from his headquarters over here. And those are being repaired as we speak, because it's being shot at by that cruiser, who is fleeing for its life, given the couple of frigates and subs after him. In the west, Team 2's Naval Defense pushing back against Team 1 on this western side, trying to do his darndest to keep them at bay. Again, he's technically facing a 2v1, so he has to have as much wiggle room as possible. Of course, he does have dual base, so that will help him a little bit, but not by much. We do see he has, of course, T2 Navy pumping out those destroyers. That can submerge. Very, very useful unit there, and getting a shield to protect his T2 PGen investment. In the east, counter destroyers online for Twitchy Mofo, going after this nice little T1 fleet, both in the frigate department and in the Zooey department. But a destroyer comes and will help assist with that defense. But it does look like, of course, the range on all of these Salem's a little bit better than the frigates, of course. And it will force the engagement. But there are a lot of subs here, but I don't know if they'll get that much wiggle room or that much room to work. And it does look like the torpedoes from those Salems are just enough to deal with those other T1 subs anyway, so they don't really have any sort of consequence there. But there are a couple of flat cannons in there. They're not really doing a whole lot against naval units, but, you know, they're there. They're nice hanging out. In the east, T2 Navy online for X-Ray. Again, just constantly pumping out those. Is it destroyers or cruisers now? Is it cruisers? Yep, cruisers are on the menu. I don't think we'll see an early T3 naval headquarters for anybody just because of the mass constraints on the map. It'll probably be about 20-something minutes before we see something like that. Unless somebody's really gunning for T3 naval tech. I highly doubt it. T2 online here for Hyper 2001. He also has T2 Air. And, of course, T3 Air online for Note. So, again, the spamming up of the T2 Torp bombers will soon commence, because this is a Navy map, so if you don't do that, you're kind of missing out on a lot of damage. T2 Torp bomber, speaking of which, inbound for no Mando, going after those destroyers. There is some AA on board the destroyers, but there is no cruisers. I don't know where that one went. Must have been destroyed. A little bit of an air fight happens between Team 1 and Team 2's main air players, and Team 1 will win that fight. The bombers, actually almost close to a squadron, are going to get wiped out. Definitely unfortunate there. There is a nice little siren nearby, but the ASFs are completely out of range at this point. RAS has been started for No Mander's Comm. And in the west, Team 1 is holding ground. They're keeping Team 2's Naval Defense right about here between these two islands. Engineers over here built some Team 1 mexes going for a facility over there. And engineers have been dropped off over here to go for the side as well. In the middle of the map here, we have Team 1's Darsand. Like I said, I don't think anybody's really going to go for T3 Navy this early. But he's not he's not going for any air, and I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. And like I said, every naval player has to have at least a T2 air facility just to pump out some of their own torp bombers. I mean, yeah, having a nice little air player who has a huge air grid to pump out some for you is nice, but being able to produce your own, it's just a lot easier, I think, in the long run. In the east, the T2 land is nice, getting some Yenzines, of course, and some AA. And unfortunately for Seraphim, they don't get the T2 mobile shielding that the Aeons and the UEF enjoy, but they do get the T3 ones, and those have a lot of hit points. I think it's 10,000 on board those things, so very nice unit to counter or at least mimic what the Bulwark does with the UEF's mainline naval fleet. Units still are pushing in from Bannable Offense, and they're getting actually pretty close to the northwestern corner for Demo. Demo doesn't have any units online. He has one destroyer that's already been submerged and then emerges, but I think it probably will just submerge back into the water with a couple of destroyers already online for Team 2 and a nice little cruiser in the mix, kind of mimicking the destroyer look. I mean, it's pretty similar. It's not the exact same, but at close glance, they look very, very similar. That destroyer is over here. It's actually going to be shifted to the middle, trying to group up with these forces from Darth Sand and Hyper. But again, it leaves him open. We do see a ping go down, which means he'll definitely be aware of that. And the destroyers and other fleet from Team 1's Hyper 2001 and Darth Sand moving in to intercept and assist. But I think it might be too little too late. T1 sonar system, but no other T1 torp launchers. Well, there will be one here shortly, but one is not going to be enough. Once all the engineers are dealt with, there's no torp launchers anymore. destroyer is going to try to give a nice little breathing room for those frigates to go to work. One torp launcher does get finished, which will eliminate all of the frigates. And the cruiser, of course, over here going for a nice little T3 mix. That's going to hurt. TMD being built. I don't... it will be built just barely in time to defend the T3 mix. But it does look like the destroyers from Team 1 will outnumber, and gunships will outnumber the ones from Team 2. It was a nice attempt. I feel like at this point, Vanderbilt Offense should have just sent them in anyways and take out the T2 naval headquarters for Dimmock, and then maybe try to just play cat and mouse around the island. That's my little 2 cents there. I mean, it wouldn't have lasted that long, but at least a little bit longer. It does give him more breathing room to work, get more units online, get more backup facilities, that sort of thing. In the east, Team 2 is Twitchy pushing against Team 1's Danky King over here. T2 facility online for Extra gets denied. He got a bulwark, a couple of them built before that facility goes up in flames. And Team 2's central player of Shamammered gets just slammed, or shillelied, or whatever other word you want to use. His naval facilities are down. His base is essentially gone. An entire player's eco is gone for Team 2. He's retreated back to Nomander's position, or at least behind him. And Nomander getting into Navy just out of necessity because, well, there are some naval units inbound, so he has to deal with that. T3 ASFs are inbound to deal with those. 3 destroyers remain. There are some ASFs online for Team 2. But it's just one of those things where, because the facilities for Team 2 are right here, they can easily redeploy and fight the ASFs for Team 1. But it's all about numbers too, because Nomander could probably just get airlocked here, and there are some AA facilities being built as we see, a couple of T3 Transcenders. So that will slowly eat away at the ASF count, and you can see he's keeping his ASFs away, but he's losing mexes as we speak. He's lost 2 so far. He's built another T3 mex. He's trying to build some more additional shielding, but those 2 destroyers will probably not help the situation, of course. There are T2 torp launchers. The only problem is those destroyers from Team 1 could have easily just sat over here and bombarded this way, except they got into range and actually line of sight from that torp launcher, so they lose one of those 2 destroyers. They have 2 remaining, and there's destroyers over here for Team 2's Battle Offense. Again, he can easily just send those over and deal with those quite quickly. But the ASS for Team 1 do go back home, so it doesn't look like he was going to stay there very much longer, because he, of course, it might just get wiped out of the skies anyway, because they're right there, being the air facilities and whatnot for Team 2. T2 Air also online here for Twitchy. And it's a lot of back and forth around this eastern side, kind of less how it is in the west. Vanderbilt Offense because he's had dual base for a decent chunk of time now, is able to hold and continue to push in. Team 1 having to force more and more of their attention away from this clear just avenue of attack from Darth Sand and Hyper 2001. I mean, it's essentially just a line between this little patch of water right here all the way over to Darth Sand and Hyper 2001's facilities. And they're not using it. They have to divert all of their attention to the west. So while it's a 3v1 in terms of player count versus bannable offense, Team 2's bannable offense is distracting 3 players. That's huge, because they're also down a player. So it's 6v5 in favor of Team 1, but 3 of the 6 for Team 1 are diverted specifically and totally to bannable offenses forces over here. So he's doing a great job of just tanking a lot of the attention from Team 1. Granted, the ASF player for Team 1's Note and Team 2's Nomander, they've been, of course, just eye to eye with one another, just focused on each other, as it should be with air players. T2 naval facility not destroyed yet, but will soon be, with the torp launching units of both the Sliffs and the Salems. Ooh, oh, is it going to be enough? 600, 500, 100. Yep, there it goes. And the units blitz on past to try to get to the T2 mexes for X-Power. Again, eco is very tight here between Team 1 and Team 2 in terms of just how many mexes they have access to. So every single mex is going to count. Speaking of which, Team 1 at 1.1k, Team 2 at 1k almost. So they have to catch up somehow. Granted, there is some power restraints or power issues going on for somebody at least. Looks like Demut's finished his Danky King. Oh, he's down in power. How's XR doing? He's doing almost fine. He's barely positive. A lot of players on Team 1 are barely positive. And once those P-gens come offline for Team 1, it's not going to be a good day. Salem's now actually going onto land. Now, granted, in a map like this where it's a Forgotten Archipelago and pretty much any T2 unit can target anything on the map, I don't think it's really worth it to go on land. They're slower. They're easy to target. That sort of thing. They lose the ability to throw out torpedoes. Granted, it's cool to watch them walk on land, but I feel like it'd be better if they just walked or just, I was going to say drove, but floated around the island instead. And, of course, they can't shoot in 360 degrees anyways, so they have to have some sort of line of sight on their target. Some sort. Not entirely, but pretty close. They can't just shoot behind them out of their rearview mirror kind of thing. But, of course, it does allow Team 2 to gain more of a footing on this eastern side with a couple of these islands. There is a secondary fleet built here and being maintained by Twitchy Mofo. Team 1 just down to hover spam, which can help in any degree, but if your opponent knows how to counter it, it's not really going to be that useful. It's just going to be used as cannon fodder at that point. Lots of missiles raining in here from Team 1 and Team 2. Of course, there are a couple of Seraphim in the mix. No UEF over here. We're missing the UEF faction, but their missiles are being donated over to the Seraphim players. Lots of cruisers, though, for Team 2. I mean, that is a ton for Bannable Offense, making sure he does not deal with any sort of torpedo missile spam, torpedo bomber spam, I should say, from Team 1. And, of course, I think they have TMD on, they have TMD on board as well, so no TAC missiles for anybody, regardless if it's mobile or not. Granted, they can't defend against torpedoes, which are the water-based tactical missiles, but, you know, airborne ones are definitely better than nothing. Torp Bomber's just waiting to engage for Hyper 2001. He has a T3 air facility as well online, and you can see just the constraints on land development. I mean, it's going for a high price. Essentially, you build a T2 P-gen, you build a T3, and then you just crank down. You just reclaim the T2 because you just need the space for it. In the east, destroyers over here for XR. It is a 2v1 in Navy. Lias over here to southeastern corner. Looks like he's going for a nuke, so he's trying to eco somewhat hard and just focus heavily on that. But Team 1 has spotted it, so that is the thing that is not going to be a surprise to them if they do say, hey, there's something down here. You got to pay attention to this. There's no ping on it as of yet or little note, but it's about to tick over into 100%. So that is not a super early nuke, but it is concerning enough. Team 1's note has deployed an SMD and has almost finished his. And there is not an SMD anywhere else, it looks like, for Team 1. Darth Sand could actually cover for Hyper 2001 given the angle of attack with the nuke. But nobody else is covered in that department, so Team 2 might just get pretty much a free nuke with no resistance. Team 2's Western-ish players, you producing anything else crazy? No. T3 Navy, T3 Navy, T3 Navy soon for Team 2. We do see that Shamambert is getting back under his main landmass. Granted, Team 1 has put a nice little forward operating base here, or at least a rough forward operating base. There's a couple of Team 1 facilities spamming out engineers for reclaim. Again, the whole need for mass is definitely apparent in this map. And mass being donated to Danky King and to Hyper 2001, so I don't know what they're building, but maybe Note can't spend his mass. No, he can spend his mass. I just don't know why he donated 2,000 mass to each player. Maybe they're just trying to help get some more T3 mexes on the field. Maybe is what it is. T3 Navy coming online here for XRAR, and I don't... Oh, T3 Navy online for Note, and T3 for the Western player of Demo. So 3 players for Team 1 going for T3 Navy. I think it's 3 for Team 2 as well. So we'll see that online here shortly. Getting those Neptunes, getting those battleships, getting those probably nasty little Yassels. Yep, there they are. And the naval wreckage is starting to accumulate over here to the northwest corner-ish. Looking at 56,000 mass. We started with, I think it was 14,000, so it's multiplied by 4 there. T3 Neptune class battle cruiser is online. Of course, the destroyers have hid themselves underneath the surface of the water. There is some TMD on board and some torp defense, so it is a pretty tactical vessel. But of course, as we've seen in last video as well, the range and the HP is definitely two things to be left to be desired. And those destroyers are just throwing so many salty torpedoes at them. That is a dead T3 unit there. Tries to go for the cruisers. Kills actually a couple of units, but doesn't actually kill all of them. And teleporter has been started. Sorry, teleporter is started for Hyper 2001. Laser's already done. So he's thinking about teleporting in maybe for the nuke. That would actually be a good teleport. The nuke is about half loaded. So Elias about ready to defend it with some AA. Definitely needs some PD defenses because that telemaser comm can easily wipe out that nuke, and that's a dead nuke. All that mass, all that energy, all that everything wasted. More T3 units online here for note. I feel like the battleships are probably the better way to go. He's producing a lot of battle cruisers. Again, the Neptunes are really, really good units, but those Yasows plus the destroyers, they're pumping out so many torpedoes, it just doesn't matter. The Omens don't have torp defenses on board. The Salems do. So they're able to cover some of their other friendly allies, but it's not a full coverage. But Tempest is coming online here for Darsan. We saw in last video somebody finally, at least that I can remember off the top of my head, use the factory on board that thing. So maybe we'll see it in this game as well. But again, it can produce T2 units, so you can get your own cruisers, your own AA defense online actually pretty quickly with that thing. Second battleship online here for Team 1. That's definitely what they needed. It doesn't have torp defense, like I said. It does have tactical missile defense because they have volcanoes mounted to the sides of them. But that Neptune is not doing so good. Are there any more Yasows here for Team 2's Bannable Offense? There is one here. There's another one there. There's a large group of them starting to surround that naval wreckage. Team 1 has a couple of engineers from Darsan. Team 2 also has T1 engineers nearby as well doing the exact same thing. Because that's a lot of mass and everybody needs it. Do something, says Twitchy Mofo. But there is going to be a nuke here about to be launched here shortly. Team 1, have you built any more SMD defenses? No. Of course, we know where that one exists. No. No, and no. I feel like the best targets for Team 2 to go after would be Darsan's T3 Naval Headquarters. Of course, they don't know about the Tempest, which is actually almost done. Maybe they do. No, they don't. They don't know anything that's going on right here. And then they could go after Note. That would be the best thing to go after. And then maybe after Darsan, maybe the northwestern corner. But there's not really a whole lot coming out of Dimut, so nothing too crazy. If they could bomb the ASF, that'd be great. But I don't think they're going to get many of those. Lots of flak. All those dead storks. Oof, that's rough. There's not going to be many deliveries for the next foreseeable future because of the lack of birds to deliver those things. Again, Neptunes and Omens. Definitely an interesting omen here for Team 1 and Team 2 to deal with. Lots of frigates for cannon fodder. Lots of engineers for cannon fodder and reclaim. A couple of Team 1 subs, but also, of course, the cruisers keeping Team 1's fleet constantly moving. And now another battleship, T4 and T3. So 4 battleships for Team 1, 0 for Team 2. They're going for more. Well, okay, no, there's one online. Never mind, scratch that. They're going for more the Yasau spam. Now, they can be ground fired. And Nuke has been launched from Elias. It's going straight north, going for this position. I mean, it's not bad, but Hyper 1 is defeated by Nomander. Interestingly enough, he was here. He teleports in and dies to something. I don't even know what he dies to. I don't see much PD or anything there. Nomander is Aeon, so he doesn't have his own laser. We do see that Mexes have been taken out here for bannable offense, and a chunk of the air grid's been taken out. Does Team 1 have a T3 artillery online? Maybe some bombers got in or something from the air forces from Note. But that was definitely a kill from Nomander, so maybe just wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. But who knows? Well, no, those are I don't know. What are those? Oh, those are Utashalos, so maybe just the PD ended up getting the kill. Anyway, Team 1 loses their first player at the game's 23-minute mark, roughly. So it's a 5v5. Once again, Note will gain control of that base, and that is a huge boost to him. 800 plus mass here for Note. He's sitting at half of his team's eco. Team 1 at 1.6 overall, Team 2 1.2. That is a huge discrepancy, especially in a map with very limited mass options. That Tempest is online, second one coming online here, almost into the green, so Darsan's really just pumping those things out. Nuke killed off 52,000 mass. Oh, sorry, kaboom! Got distracted by the death of Hyper 2001. And that will knock out Denki Kang for a while. Doesn't have really anything to his name, 81 mass per second. Just not great on power. Team 2 could pressure the advantage if they could, but there's a nice little summit and other supports, and a nice little ace online for XRAR, so counter nukage for Team 1 coming online. Definitely won't send that into the Lion's Den, but, you know, each their own kind of thing. It might be a thing where Ace gets into range, builds the nuke, and then fires it and gets out of range. You could easily just do it the other way, where you build the nuke, go into range, and then fire it, and then leave. That's my little 2 cents there. Team 1 heavily pushing back bannable defense, though. It's still a long, drawn-out conflict due to the massive amounts of yellow dots missiles racing their way north, where Team 1's fleet has to constantly move. It is very annoying to deal with. It's a lot of APM being soaked up, especially because that's the air player as well doing that. So not only is Note microing the air, he's microing a huge chunk of Team 1's western fleet. And I feel like that should just be all given the Darth Sand micro, just because that can free up some APM for Note. Team 2's Nomander's rebuilt a tiny portion of his air grid. He's segmented it off over here. Has an eye online. Love to see those. Haven't seen one of those, I think, in a while, at least that I've noticed. But we do see Team 2 is slowly inching their way forward. Couple of battleships, two galaxies, excuse me, and one Omen versus one Summit. That fight's going to be won by Team 2 just based on the numbers there. There's a second one here for XRAR, and I think he has a third and fourth one online here, but he's not sending him in as of yet. In the west, the fleet is starting to be thinned out. Team 2's bannable offense. Are you going for something else? Because I feel like there's not that much in terms of production, in terms of being pumped out. He's sitting at 500 plus mass, same as Nomander. Team 1, 1.7, Team 2, 1.4, so they're slowly catching up to the discrepancy there. Is Team 1 building anything spicy in the background? More mass fab and air grid. Same thing over there. Same thing over there. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's a shield. Oh, no, that's an no, that's an SMD. Okay, I thought it was a nuke launcher. Nothing crazy over here for Team 1. Really nothing big ticket item-y, and I think that's just due to the mass on the map. In terms of mexes, the reclaim kind of really doesn't matter, but kind of does. In the west, that fleet has now pushed back Team 2, and another nuke outbound for Lias, and it's going for Demo's position. Demo just built an SMD, and that might just be a headshot on top of that comm if the comm doesn't move. It's on a direct course for that comm, and that's going to hurt. That base is going to be gifted over to Note. He's going to increase his mass income, but not by much due to the nuke that's going to take out essentially the entire base. T1 transport, not enough to carry a comm. The nuke is already halfway across the middle. Team 1 will see it now, and they'll see the trajectory of it. If he doesn't move now, he's probably a dead man. Yep, that's a dead comm here for Team 1. And he's building a nice little mass fab facility, but it's not going to be built in time to really benefit. Demo moves way too late. Kaboom! His T3 facilities will be safe, though, so that'll be something, but nothing remains on the main island. It's now a 5v4 for the first time in the game. Team 2 is leading the players left alive. Tons of Salems and Galaxies and Omens and Summits and whatnot over here to the east. Nice little ace mixed in there. Nuke is loading on board, so we might see a sub-base nuke here shortly. Team 2, of course, has their stationary nuke. Killed off 114,000 mass. And climbing, 5-star veteran seed, needs to get some PD just in case Team 1 has lost Hyper 2001. That's the only telemacer commander, but you know, other teleporting comms could come in, or even SACUs. So getting some PD will definitely protect that thing long term. SACUs hiding in the water for protection. More and more. Looks like those are aircraft carriers coming on the line here for Nomander. And he has a lot of ASF, to be fair. Team 2's Nomander sitting at 266 notes, sitting at 366. So he's still winning, but it is a chunk that Team 2 has, especially because there's a decent amount of AA nearby. Spread out spread out aircraft carriers, and then a decent amount of Yasas who could emerge and actually use their AA. Tempest now actually hiding from the main cannons from all of these battleships, trying to use their torpedoes to their advantage. They can't build, of course, and they can still be ground fired. So yeah, not great. New Tempest coming online here for Dart Sand. He's lost one, he's gained one, he's netted 0. It's better than netting -1 or something. And just more and more pushback back and forth. Their Team 2 is starting to thin out on the numbers. And once those once those summits are given orders, they'll immediately go for that nuke and probably take it out. But nuke is almost loaded once again. Team 1, do you have SMD over here? Yes. Will it load in time? Yes. Bug is online, and I can only think of one target for that bug, and yet it is going for the nuke. There is some AA. There's actually a decent chunk of AA defenses. There's 12 of them. Granted, he probably needs some flak, but he has something. He may actually spot it. Somebody might spot it here from Team 2. It looks like the cruiser just barely gets in range, and it does get pinged. Nomander, you got to send some ASFs in. Yep, there they go, and Nuke goes, nope, not doing it. Nope. Not going to waste my experimental going after one nuke when I have an SMD and my teammates can just build SMDs to protect themselves. And he is re-expanded upon the old place that Demo used to be. SMD online isn't loaded yet, but pretty close to being loaded. Team 2's nuke is loaded, so if it fires immediately, it might get Dart Sand's base. And that's going to hurt. That's a lot of T3 mexes, especially if they're ringed and they're going for SACU spam here. Gotta fire it immediately. This nuke over here will be shot down if it goes this way, so essentially it's either Dart Sand's base or this base that once belonged to Hyper 2001. One or the other. Mass fab for Team 1's note there. Very, very cascadable over there. Look at this, though. He's been able to push in with the assistance of Dart Sand in a Team 2's territory. Actually, those are not strap bombers. Those are the T3 Solaces, the only T3 torp bomber in the game. Another Tempest comes offline. There's 2 more remaining. There used to be 5 in total. That's a lot of mass to sit here. And it's going to start to be claimed by Dart Sand, but Team 2's right here. So that's a lot of mass that Team 2 can easily just scoop up. ASF's just waiting in the middle. Looks like they want to go after those Solaces. T2 torp bombers in. It's not worth engaging for. At least just them alone. A couple of aircraft carriers slowly being pushed back. A couple of more battleships coming online. Team 2's Battle Offense doesn't really have a lot online anymore. He is going for a nuke, which will be nice to see, and already has an SMD just in case. In the east, that nuke still hasn't fired, and unfortunately, I think that SMD is going to load anyways. Definitely unfortunate here. But again, he's had 2 solid nukes, so that's pretty good so far. And nuke actually right about here would be nice. Nuke is outbound. Speaking of which, where is it going? They know where X-Force commander is. It's going to get hit by that SMD, so that's not really going to work. Unless there are some strap bombers inbound or something to take out the SMD now, there's really no hope for that nuke reaching its target. It was a nice sniper attempt, though, here by Elias, but just either forgot the SMD was there or saw it too late or something after he fired. But there it goes. It takes out the nuke. But he's still loading another nuke. He's still going to keep loading those things. Team 1 tried to deal with it, but just didn't end up getting any work done. Nomander moving in. I don't know if he's going after the comm over here. ASFs have not been called in for note. Looks like they're actually going this way. ASF's going to take the fight. The distraction is occurring. If XR knows what's going on, that might be a dead comm. He's trying to make it onto land, it looks like, or at least get to some semblance of land. And Team 2 They know the comm's there. The bombs drop. Oh, will they get there in time? They might hit some geometry on the way there. But no, kaboom. Nice snipe by Team 2's Nomander. The nuke didn't work, but the bombers got him. And it is now a 3v5 in favor of Team 2. But again, the downside with killing off another player for Team 1 is all that mass goes to... Actually, it was going to not go to Note. It's going to go to Denki King. So Denki King has the entire eastern side of the map to push back on Team 2. And he's doing actually a great job sitting in this nice little open area. It's claimed these islands had them for a while. And in the west, things are just not going well. The middle of the map just devoid of everything. There's really nothing there. And there's just a lot of buildup for infrastructure, AA, all of that here between Nomander and Bannable Offense. Lots of SACU stacking up. I don't know what he's building on board. Probably, maybe he's not building teleporter. Ooh. Ooh, is he building... And what is he building? He's not telling me what he's building. Why does it not tell me what the SACU is building? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Maybe he's going to build a teleporter and try to teleport a Galactic Colossus on top of Note's base. That would be really cool to watch if that happens. We'll see. We will see. Starting laser, says Lias. And yeah, he can do that. He doesn't have teleporter yet. Awasaw Bomber, I can hear you. Where are you? There it is over here. Team 1's Note has an Awasaw Bomber. Hits the island that once belonged to Orange Dudes. And takes out the core mass there. Another Tempest down. And Team 1 is just losing all of their Tempests. They're building more of them all the time. I mean, it's doing great work and pushing in. That's a lot of mass to spend on that. Team 1 has 366,000 mass reclaimed. Team 2, 200. Partially driven by those Tempests being constantly reclaimed by Darth Sand at 200,000 mass. Awasaw Bomber is going to land again, get a nice little strike on a nice little battleship. The ASFs really want to engage, and it looks like they might just do it anyways. Here we go. The major air fight of the game. I'm going to slow it down. And actually, the ASFs split off. They don't fully engage. They tried to go after the bomber. The bomber went straight back. There's actually the bug over there as well. So both of the air experimentals for Team 1 waiting to be fully unleashed. They're missing out on the donut, and they'll have all three of them. They just need Darth Sand to give them some engineers. More Yassaus, more Yassaus, more Yassaus, and more Yassaus online for Team 2's Bannable Offense. Got to spam it because they are really, really good. Tempest coming online here for Nomander, as we saw. Second one planned after that. Denki King builds his own experimental. Is it an Awasaw? Is it a Atlantis? No, it is an Atlantis. Yep. Another nuke outbound from Lias. Where is this one going? It's going for this position. It is going to be covered by that SMD. So it is not going to land. It would have been better off over here, actually. And this SMD already reloaded, so it doesn't matter. And Team 1's oppressive air is just keeping Team 2's ASF from really engaging much. They did stop that attack from the bug, but nothing much out of that. By stopping, I mean moving into intercept is... Actually, not even moving in intercept, just got spotted. And then we're moving in intercept. There goes the nuke. Nope, barely clips the range. Unfortunate, but again, nothing too worrisome. Team 1 has multiple T3 UEF facilities. I mean, I thought they had multiple. Well, they have one over here, technically, so they're not out of naval tech for UEF as of yet. Note builds another experimental. Either it's an Awasaw Bomber, or it's a bug, or it's a gifted over experimental from somebody else. That's usually one of the three options. Or he built his own Atlantis. Or that. Maybe donated over, question mark. There's the bomber. There's the bug. Don't see any other dots. Oh, nope. Okay, it's up here. Never mind. So there's two Awasaw Bombers plus a bug. But... there is a nuke online, so that is going there for Team 2's Bannable Offense. But the worrisome thing here is for Team 2, if Bannable Offense falls, there's really nothing stopping Team 1's aggression that way. Because Nomander is getting his own fleet online, but he doesn't have that many forces, and then everything east of that, there's just nothing to really defend. They're all focused on this attack from the north. So if Team 2 can crack either the eastern side or the western side, sorry, Team 1 can crack it. I think I said Team 2. That's pretty much game. 47 minutes on the clock here. Team 1, do you have any? Oh, that is, that's not good. Granted, I don't like it that it's next to mass fabs, but it is underneath shield coverage already. Love to see that. And it does have 1 PGen for a little bit more fire rate. But once that's online, that's not good for Team 2. So either they're going to lose by naval pressure or they'll lose by artillery. One or the other. Teleporter has been started for Lias. And I don't think there's any... Speaking of that game editor, I don't think there's any... Oh, there's some... Okay, no, there's some here and some here. It might be enough. Usually you go with Team 1, T2. T3, of course, have better range, but they take a little bit to turn and spin up. But they're all in range, so if the comm teleports in, that will be enough. He's over 50% for his teleportation upgrade, and then he's got to charge it and whatnot. Tempests have broken through once again. Team 2 is just losing territory constantly. Yasao's being spammed up here. Actually, no, those are Barracudas. Those are Yasao's being spammed up by Team 1. Lots of those Torp Hunters, or the Sub Hunters with their torpedo nonsense. Or Sub Killers if you're Barracudas, and they gotta have different names for some reason. They gotta be fancy-dancy like that. ASF still stacking up. I'm waiting for the airfight to happen, but again, Note sitting at 600 ASFs, Team 2's no matter 400, so we're looking at over 1,000 ASFs on the field. Whoever engages first, it might not matter because Note's probably going to just steamroll it. Unless Team 2 has a lot of AA coverage, it's probably not going to matter. And we do see that fleet is slowly coming into Team 2's Battle Offense's main island, targeting the T3 mexes. The nuke is about to load. The nuke might save him a little bit, but there's so much pressure continuing to mount. The eastern side, it's holding but not holding, holding but not holding. Something exploded. I don't know what it was. SMD down, says Nomander for Danky Kang. Danky Kang has lost his SMD, which that could be a nice little nuke target here. Is the nuke loaded? No, it's not. He's funneling all of that mass into his teleporter, which is now done. And the question is where he will teleport to. He could potentially... No, I don't think he could win the game just with one teleport and taking out the air grid. There's still so many ASFs online. But look at this nonsense of an island. Every square foot, every square foot, every square meter, I should say, in this type of game, fill it with mass fabs and more than that. And in the west, Barracudas, Tempests, Galaxies, it's just collapsing on this western side for Team 2. The eastern side is barely holding. That Atlantis is about to go down. It's being ground fired heavily by Twitchy Mofo. Like I said, that is the one, not one weakness, but it is a downside to ASF. Not ASF, sorry, for naval experimentals, as they can still be ground fired. The fight does occur, but it's just not gonna matter because Nuke can take it. Even if he loses it, he still has a roughly bigger air grid than Nomander, and he has his game ender Mavor. So it really doesn't matter at this point. But look at Note's ASF count, still over 300, especially with Bingo on fuel. Counted in. Whoa, -2. I mean, I just dropped it to -1 just to illustrate my point. And Team 2's Nomander team just teleports out of their Battle Offense control case. Everybody else teleports out. That is the game won for Team 1. And it just goes to show that just sheer force of will with all those ASFs. Granted, the Mavor was done and actually did fire. I don't know if it fired another shot. There's one right there. Oh, actually, there is one right there. There's one right there. Looks like that's the first shot right here. And it is going for Nomander's position. So Nomander was going to be airlocked. Mavor would have helped take out the air grid. Everything on the western side would have been wiped out eventually. I would have loved to see... Oh, wait. Where did Elias I mean, I guess he teleported out of there, so we don't know where he teleported to. and also satellite online for Denki King. So it was going to come crashing down at some point anyways by Team 1, but Team 2 kind of expedited it by leaving. But again, that is one of those situations where it's like, well, we pretty much lost. We'll just surrender. We'll play a new game. That's how I view that. So let me know down in the comments what you felt about the cast or the game overall. Let me know down in the comments as well for your picks for MVP. Mine, I mean, Note, of course, was a powerhouse with the ASF count. I did like the nuke from Lias, though. It killed, or almost tried to kill an X-Rar. Did kill Demo, and then the bombers came in for Nomander and taking out the column of X-Rar as well. So nice little, well, if you're not going to die by a nuke, you're going to die by torpedoes. But they just couldn't really materialize on it. If Team 2 maybe went for a game ender or something while the pressure was mounting in Navy, it may have been enough, but it's just hard to say. It is really hard to say, especially because Note's producing 1.3k mass. It's a lot of mass to have. So I think Note gets MVP, but I do like Darsan's assistance with the Tempest. I feel like Omen's probably would have been a little bit more efficient, but the extra range on the Tempest definitely helped out. And of course, reclaiming everything he pretty much built, 250,000 mass reclaimed alone for him, definitely kept him refueling his fleet. Like, oh, Tempest goes down, oh, I'll just get it back most of the way from the reclaim and then build another one kind of thing. So just recycling his dead units, definitely a good way to keep going. But again, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments what you felt about the game overall. And as always, I will see all of you in the next one.